Hi, my name is Christian Atkins. This segment is going to be on gopher tortoises and scrub jays. Both these species of wildlife are protected by the state of Florida. The first species that I'll be discussing will be the gopher tortoises. This is what our gopher tortoises look like. They're not very large, but they have legs and they do actually move around, so they will go from location to location. In the next picture you can see what one of their burrows looks like. Unfortunately, they're not always as clearly defined, and it will take an environmental engineer more often than not to actually locate the actual burrow. Prior to purchasing the lot in the due diligence period, you may want to hire an environmental engineer to determine if you have any gopher tortoises on the lot, and also how many. Please bear in mind that the report is only good for 90 days. The building permit will take approximately 6 to 8 months to obtain, at which point your environmental report is no longer valid. Right before the building permit is issued, the building department will send an inspector to the lot and look for gopher tortoise burrows. The building inspector will not make the determination as to whether the burrows are active or abandoned. At this time, an environmental engineer will need to be hired so that he or she can determine as to whether the burrows are active or abandoned. If there are active burrows on the lot, the environmental engineer will need to apply for a permit through Florida Fish and Wildlife. If you have a single lot, 10,000 square feet or less, and there are burrows and they are active, the gopher tortoises will have to be removed and relocated. If you have a double lot, the gopher tortoises may be relocated to a fenced area on your property. The environmental engineer will make that determination following the Florida Fish and Wildlife guidelines. The costs associated with dealing with the gopher tortoises is as follows. There is a cost for the environmental engineer, cost of the permit, a cost associated with catching the gopher tortoises, and finally the cost of relocating the gopher tortoises to a registered farm. The actual costs vary from lot to lot. However, the cost of relocating the gopher tortoises to a registered farm is around $6,000 per tortoise. The Florida scrub jay is what I'm going to talk about next. It's a protected bird here in the state of Florida. In Charlotte County, you can look up the habitat on the Charlotte County GIS system. This is the Charlotte County GIS map. If you go across to the menu section and you click on layers and scroll down to almost to the bottom, you will see there is the scrub jay permit boundary. Click on that. And everything that's in red is actually where the scrub jays are located in Charlotte County. You can either opt to not purchase a lot with scrub jays on it, or if you do purchase a lot with scrub jays, at least you know that there are associated fees associated with purchasing that lot. The permitting process for scrub jays in Charlotte County is very easy. Charlotte County has a habitat conservation plan. So essentially you fill out the 3-page form for the actual permit itself. The permit fees for scrub jays in Charlotte County are very reasonable. If you have a lot that's 0.23 acres up to 0.49, you're looking at a fee of $2,800. In Charlotte County, you have a second method of applying for a permit to remove the Florida scrub jay, and that is through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. This permit can take up to a year to obtain, and at some point you are going to have to hire an environmental engineer. If the environmental engineer determines that you do have scrub jays on your lot, you will also have to pay the HCP fees as well, the $2,800. The City of Northport website does have information regarding the scrub jays on their site. It also has the map for the location of where the scrub jays are, but it is not an interactive map. You can get the addresses, but it's not really very accurate. The City of Northport has a list of all the parcels that have scrub jays on them, and they're listed by PID numbers. The easiest way to search to see if your lot does have scrub jays on them is to look up the first 4 digits. If those first 4 digits are not on your lot, then you don't have any scrub jays on them. The permitting process for the scrub jays is actually through the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. This is the system that can take up to a year, and also you have to hire an environmental engineer during that time to figure out if you do or do not have scrub jays on your lot. Northport differs from Charlotte County, whereas they do not have a HCP process. In other words, there is no $2,800 fee. The fees for removing the scrub jays in Northport can be up to $20,000 per bird. You cannot clear a lot during nesting season, which is March 1st through June 30th. This concludes this video. I hope you found the information useful.